Wow.
Hello, welcome to the Sedona Community Forum Online. I'm Linda Shook, the Associate Dean of the Sedona Center and Director of OLLI, the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute in Sedona and Verde Valley. This program is brought to you by the Lifelong Learning Division of Yavapai College.
Hi, and I'm Paul Friedman, an OLLI volunteer facilitator. We're co-hosting the spring term sessions online of the Sedona Community Forum. In these programs, we'll hear from and interact with local leaders whose work is especially affected by and helping our community respond to the current pandemic.
Our aim in this program is to give you a behind-the-scenes view of what community leaders are doing during the COVID pandemic. Hopefully you'll get a better insight and feel as though you're walking in their shoes.
Our guest of honor for this program is Jennifer Perry, the Regional Director of the Arizona Community Foundation of Sedona, our community's leading philanthropic organization. Hey Jennifer, I've been reading in the newspaper that ACF of Sedona has leapt into action to offer support to local nonprofit organizations that are dealing with the effects of the pandemic. I'm sure it won't be easy to do everything that you would like, but how are you doing today with all that's on your plate? I know you're starting the small grants program training soon and have lots of other things going on. Would you tell us about making and implementing the decisions necessitated by this health crisis?
Sure. Paul and Linda, thank you for having me and for thinking about the Arizona Community Foundation. You know, we tend to operate in the background and people don't always think about the work that we're doing. And this pandemic has really brought the work that the Arizona Community Foundation does to the forefront of addressing some of the critical needs that we're facing in this crazy time. You know, community foundations have been around for a long time, and establishing endowed funds and connecting caring community members and donors with causes that are important and near and dear to their heart. And the work that we do has never been more important than what we're seeing right now. And about 30 days ago, when this all started, the Arizona Community Foundation statewide established a COVID-19 Community Response Fund. And really the role of philanthropy in this is to fill that gap. You know, the federal government is providing small business loans and payroll protection plans and things, but there's these nonprofits that provide frontline services. The demand has skyrocketed, and typically their operating income has stopped as they've had to close their thrift stores and, you know, not be able to produce the business revenue generating portion of their business. So this is where, you know, philanthropy is really filling an important gap. And when we heard about the statewide fund, you know, a lot of donors and concerned community members called me and they said, hey, Jen, wow, you know, this is really great, but, you know, I don't want my dollars to go to Phoenix. You know, I want to support people here in my own backyard, my neighbors, my friends who lost their job and now need to go to the food bank to feed their families. What can I do? So we worked with Phoenix and we were able to establish the Sedona Verde Valley Community Response Fund. And this is one of many localized funds around the state, but people can give with confidence and know, you know, I can give my dollars here and they're going to be matched up to $80,000 by the Arizona Community Foundation. So it's a real win-win, and the outpouring of support has truly been tremendous. As we all have watched our investments disappear in some instances or go down so badly, it's really scary to think about writing a big check and helping out. But this Community Response Fund provides a vehicle where we can pool the resources of many community members and businesses to make a tremendous impact in the community. We're doing weekly grants. Typically, a grant cycle takes 45 to 60 days to process between submitting the applications, reviewing them, going back and asking more questions, and then issuing the check. We've cut it down to 10 to 14 days for these emergency grants. And we're accepting applications for $1,000 to $25,000 for local nonprofits that are providing critical care services here in our community. So as long as we are under the state of emergency with the state of Arizona, this grant cycle will remain open. And we just completed the 4th week, and we have distributed $138,000
Wow.
to 11 nonprofits here in the Verde Valley. And the majority of that has gone to the food banks, who not only is food hard to get, but they had to completely change their operations as to how they do things. You know, Meals on Wheels used to go every day with an army of volunteers. Well, that's not a good idea. So they had to shift their operations, and now they're delivering twice a week, and they're doing like boxes of cereal and a half gallon of milk and like a bag of fruit and some frozen meals that can be, you know, reheated on their own. All of the food banks have moved to a drive-through model without touching. They've had to buy bags and trucks, and, you know, just, it's been a huge, huge undertaking. But the outpouring of support is that, you know, we're able to give them some cash to be able to get the things they need, to get the money, get the services to the people who need them.
Wonderful, wonderful. So do you make these decisions by yourself about where these monies should go? Or is it more complicated than that?
Well, that would be too much responsibility that I would never want to be the only one to decide. But we have a really terrific panel of community members, and we have representatives of our board of advisors from all walks of life and areas in the Verde Valley. We have some significant donors and philanthropists in the community who are very aware of, you know, the financial needs of the various organizations. And we also have representatives from the city of Sedona, so that we can help to understand if they are receiving city funding, that we're not overlapping, that we can get these dollars out into the community where they can make the most impact. And then we've also been able to, some of the grants, unfortunately, we've had to say no to, in that we have strict guidelines that it has to be critical care, basic needs services right now. And it can't benefit 1 or 2 people. We really need those dollars to help as many people as we can. But when that happens, we really work to, if we can't do it, connect them with organizations or individuals who can do that. And the Sedona Marine Corps League has helped out a veteran who was on hard times, and some private foundations have stepped forward. And I think in addition to the $138,000 that we as a community foundation have distributed, we've facilitated another $45,000 in gifts outside of our funds. So that kind of made me feel good at the end of the day that we weren't saying no, but we were redirecting.
Wonderful. So let me just be sure I understand. Your base, you started out with an $80,000 allocation for emergency services to bolster community humanitarian assistance during this period, and that is you would like that to be matched by donations from members of the community, and you've made quite a bit of progress so far. How much matching money have you received?
So we've raised, as of Monday, we raised $58,000 towards the $80,000 match. And the $80,000 really is an arbitrary figure. It was the amount of money that our central office could afford to give to our area. It does not reflect the need in the community. Personally, I feel strongly that we need about $300,000 in this fund, because
Mm-hmm.
weeks we've given out 138.
Mm-hmm.
And the demand is huge. So, you know, there's been a lot of really creative ways that people have stepped up to help support this. The Sedona women, for instance, made a contribution and they asked their membership to contribute as a match. The Rotary Club of the Village of Oak Creek is doing that. They're inviting their members to contribute to the fund and they will match it. And then ACF will match it. The Christ Lutheran Church is doing that with their membership. Seven Canyons is doing that with their membership. So I think this is an opportunity for us as community members to have our own little Verde Valley crowdfunding. And if we can each, you know, give $50 to $100 or whatever it is and match and pool our money together, we're going to be able to help more people.
That sounds wonderful. So it's really a community-wide effort, and support is coming from many different directions. And you mentioned that food, of course, is the most fundamental need to survive this period, especially for people whose income is cut off. Are there other purposes to which the funds could be put? Housing is another need, utilities.
There's been a lot of really creative things that people are doing, and you know, we can only fund the applications that we receive. So if there are organizations that are providing utility assistance or bill assistance and they want to apply to us for funding, we can do that.
Yes.
But some unique things that came across our desk was the Camp Verde Library. They're the only public library that's still open right now in the Verde Valley and offering services. And they've really stepped out of the box and thought creatively as to the role of the library in helping all members of our community. And I think when we've all heard about the digital divide and the disparities between those families or individuals who have the resources to own a computer or have high-speed internet at their home. But never before have we seen the true divide of access to information and resources when people are forced to stay home. And the Camp Verde Library was really forthright in their thinking, and they requested funding and got 10 laptop computers. And they set up picnic tables outside of the library at social distanced areas, and community members can come and check out the laptop for 2 hours, sit there, access the Wi-Fi, so they can apply for unemployment, look for jobs, have the children do their schoolwork. You know, it was a really, really great use, I think, of emergency funding right now, because access to information right now is just so important, and that digital divide is going to get wider as a result of this pandemic and being forced to stay home. So that was a really cool one. And then the Verde Valley First Books is a really cool little nonprofit here, and they've partnered. They provide books to, typically it's just preschoolers, you know, 3 and 4-year-olds, and they give the children a book every month, and they go to local preschools that have over 50% of their student body are living below the poverty line. So they're getting books in the homes of some of these families who don't have books. Well, now that the preschools are closed, they adapted and expanded their services, and they're now providing these books at the drive-through food banks and getting books in the homes of all of these families. So I thought that was another really ingenious way of coming out of the box and helping people. So it's beautiful to see all the different ways that people are pulling together to help each other.
Yes, those are wonderful contributions to the community. And somehow you're managing to pull together a decision-making team and a system for people for organizations to apply for grants. So people, do you have, let's start at the very beginning. Let's say a listener to this video is responsible, is a administrator in an organization of some sort, who says, yes, we have greater demands on our services now than ever before, so that it even exceeds whatever budget we have available. And it's wonderful to hear that the ACF is willing to help us out. What would be their next step if they wanted to pursue your support?
Sure, great question, Paul. So just to be clear, in terms of who's eligible, it's pretty broad. You can be a nonprofit. We welcome government agencies to apply. We welcome religious organizations, as long as it's for a non-sectarian effort, if it's for the community good. And we also welcome tribal entities to apply. And you just go on our website, azfoundation.org, O-R-G, and right on the homepage, you'll see a big banner, COVID-19 Community Response Fund, resources for nonprofits. And there's a button that says apply. And it's a really easy application. We've made it simple because we know everybody's busy trying to respond to the crisis and does not have time to, spend hours preparing a grant. So it's basically, I think, 7 questions. Is this an immediate need? Are there other people who are providing this need? What will you do with the funding? And then that is submitted to us. And a week ago, we had given out $2.5 million statewide. I mean, they're processing hundreds of applications every week. We're seeing a small portion of that here in Sedona and the Verde Valley. We're getting approximately 6 to 8 applications a week. But they can apply again every 30 days. And right now, as we're under the state of emergency, our funding priority is for these critical care needs. But we recognize that so many organizations have had to close their thrift stores, cancel their fundraisers. The long-term effects of this, I think, are going to be worse than the short-term that we're facing. So we're really looking at this in a 2-phase situation, that right now we're dealing with critical care. What do we need to do today to keep people fed and safe and healthy? But then what can we do to support these organizations to get back on their feet again and to be, fully functional again? And that's going to take a lot of money. And so our hope is that with community support, that we'll be able to help these nonprofits. But that, to me, is the most critical need, and where we're seeing so many applications come in, and we have to kind of file them in the recovery file for now while we do critical care needs. So,
yeah. So I'd like to get a little glimpse of how it works backstage, an inside view. So you get you say you get several, I come to the right person. You get several applications a week, and then you accumulate them and send them to your review board. Is that right?
Sure.
You email them and you folks meet online or something? Mm-hmm.
Yep, the application is online. They file them down in Phoenix, and then they send me what I need to review here for Sedona and the Verde Valley. Since we do have overlap with the Yavapai County ACF office, some of our Verde Valley nonprofits are reviewed by the Prescott office, but it really doesn't matter. They just divide them up. So every Wednesday afternoon, I'm waiting for my applications to come in right now, anytime now. I get an email with all the applications. I forward them to my review panel, and they review them. And we have an online rubric, like a little scoring card, and they enter their reviews. Oftentimes they have questions because we've made the application very open. And we don't want people to feel like they need to be professional grant writers to apply to us. It's okay. So oftentimes I'll get questions from the review panel, and I'll reach back out to the applicant. What did you mean by this? Or what exactly is the cost for that? How many people does that serve, kind of thing. And then we meet every Monday at 4 o'clock. We have a Zoom conference call, and I present the tallied rubric of the grant reviews. And we start out just with the numbers, you know, this many people said fully fund, this one said partially fund, this many people said great request, but put in the long-term recovery file, or this is not applicable to our guidelines. So then what we do is we determine how much money we can afford to give them. And that's been a challenging thing because we're fundraising while we're granting. So it's like a weekly wave of up and down, up and down. But we do have access to the statewide fund. So if we feel it's a really great request, but we just can't afford to fully fund it out of ours, we weekly ask for Phoenix to support worthy applications as well. So it's really a beautiful balance between local support and statewide support. And then those responses are sent back down to Phoenix. And we typically do that Tuesday morning. And then the grant review team down there processes those grants, and we try, and we're not always doing it, but we try to get the checks cut and out by that Friday.
Wow, that's
So
wonderful. Yes. Well, I heard you say that you're balancing grant allocations with fundraising. So what would be your message to listeners who might, especially our whole community is getting some sort of incentive, some sort of federal funds into their bank accounts, and may, since that is a pleasant surprise and not be a desperate need for some of our listeners, what if they would want to donate that amount or even more, what would be their next step? How would they assign some of their funds to you?
well, thank you, Paul, for bringing that up. I really appreciate it because those stimulus funds are, you know, an incredible opportunity to give back to your community, and giving through the Arizona Community Foundation is a way that you can give locally with confidence and know that it's going to be well distributed and it's going to benefit a lot of people. Individuals can donate directly on the website, azfoundation.org. And you'll see the COVID-19 fund, donate now. And then when you choose to donate, there's a tab and you can select the Sedona Verde Valley Fund to keep your dollars local. If you prefer, you can mail a check to the Arizona Community Foundation, and that's Post Office Box 558, Sedona 86339. Or if you just would like to talk to me personally a little bit more about how you could make a contribution, you can call me directly at 928-399-7218. At the Community Foundation, we do have the ability to accept all kinds of gifts. You can give gifts of stock, you can give gifts of real estate, life insurance policies, and the required distributions on your IRAs. So as a community foundation, we have those tools to be able to facilitate your philanthropic wishes.
Well, that's very useful information. I think for a system to help for the more people with more resources in our community to share some of their of what they have with the people who are in desperate need during this situation. Well, there's just so much more we could talk about, but we've about run out of time. I want to thank our guest of honor today, Jennifer Perry, Regional Director of the Arizona Community Foundation of Sedona, for sharing with us your adventure and philanthropic leadership over the past month or so. We're very grateful for the frank and thoughtful glimpses you've given us into how your organization is responding to the challenges we face. It's inspiring to know how flexibly and capably you and your staff are adapting your efforts to the demands of this period.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for all that you do to help us get this kind of information out into the community. I hope you all stay well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. We want to let all of you all know that we're going to continue the Sedona Community Forum online, and conduct these dialogues with local leaders so we can learn about the steps they're taking during this very unusual time. To access these recordings, you simply need to go to the OLLI at Sedona Verde Valley website, our Facebook, or our YouTube channel. And the fastest way to do that is just to plug in OLLI at Sedona Verde Valley. Thank you.
Bye-bye.